Progress Wrestling, July of 2017, also known as chapters 51 through 53. We got Birmingham, we got Manchester, we got London, we got Keith Lee, we got Matt Riddle, we got Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, Gunther, Walter. Did I just fucking call him Gunther? Oh no. Oh no. Have we reached the point where I associate that man with the name Gunther instead of Walter? Oh boy. I do miss me some Walter. Walter with the titties? That just hit different. Gunther needs to bring his titties back, I think. Thoughts? Leave a comment. Are we pro titties or anti titties in the context of Gunther? I think I'm pro titties. Maybe we won't even talk about these shows. Maybe we'll just talk about bosoms. Only one way to find out, and that's to stay there, sit back, take off your pants, undo your belt, spank me with it right here on the Apron Bump Podcast.
It's the hardest. Talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what heart is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock this. Let's get started.
Ooh, doggy. What's up, everybody? What the heck is up, everybody? Welcome to the Apron Bump Podcast. I, of course, am your host, the hardest part of the ring, Kyle. How is everybody doing today? How was the Royal Rumble, everybody? I'm recording this before Royal Rumble 2026. Actually, no, cut that. Bartholomew, cut that. Cut that. What's this? I kind of know who's going to win anyways, so we'll make it seem like that we watched it, right? And take two. I cannot believe Chris Jericho came back, won the whole thing, won both the men's and women's rumbles somehow. Electric. But speaking of electric, the Electric Ballroom is the venue of one of these shows that we're going to be talking about today. Chapters 51, 52, 53. Good googly moogly. I know what you're telling yourself. I know what you're saying. Hardest part of the ring. That seems like lots and lots of wrestling. Arguably too much. Well, perhaps, but we're going to do it. All of these shows happened in the month of July 2017, and that is the precedent that we've set with these progress shows. If there's multiple shows in a month, we'll just bundle them up. We won't talk about every single match, every single segment, and hiccup and fart and ninny and nanny. We're gonna wrap everything up, talk about it. It's gonna be subject based. We're gonna be talking about the tag team titles, the world title, the women's title, the Atlas title. There's some major stories that were cultivated on these shows, that were begun on these shows. A couple crazy ones that I did not see coming at all. We got some major debuts on these shows and some lovely wrestling matches. I will say, like, I'm gonna be honest, like I watched these shows because normally I'll it'll be like a month or two in between progress shows for me in terms of watching them, so it's always fresh. But I watched 3 different progress shows. We got chapter 51 occurring on July 9th in Birmingham. We got chapter 52 occurring on July 23rd from Manchester. And we got chapter 53 coming at us on July 30th from London in the Electric Ballroom, their home base of sorts. So I watched all of these shows in the course of like 3 or 4 days, which is a lot. There's a lot. I mean, these are 3-hour shows each. So I got a lot. I was just progress, like deep inside me. And look, I have no regrets. There was a lot of good stuff here, but a lot of this, I think when you get into the nuts and bolts of wrestling, it weirdly doesn't tell the story. Like what I mean by that, it's like, yeah, you could have like, maybe most of the matches are good on a card, but how did you feel watching them? You know what I mean? I like to look at the forest and not the trees. Meaning, like, yeah, there was a lot of good wrestling on these shows. But look, this is gonna be mostly positive. This episode, there's a lot of great stuff here. But I will say one thing that I noticed is that, as we enter the back half of the century, chapter 50 plus, I'm kind of very cognizant of like, how is the product changing? because, the first 50 chapters were, at least for the most part, very character driven, very story driven. Like that's the thing that's like drawn me to Progress in particular, because the characters were so strong. Like the Jimmy Havoc arc in the first 20 or so chapters, probably the best thing to this date that I've watched in my watch through of Progress. The rise of Will Ospreay, you have the origin, the evolution of Mark Haskins, you have like the whole Marty Skrull storylines, you have like there were so many fun characters and stories, and there still are, but I'm noticing that the product seems to be shifting more towards like quote unquote bangers, which like, and look, I've talked about it a lot in like my, when I'm talking about the current product, like how bangers do not equate to good wrestling. But there's like some nuance to that. Like, I think there is value to crowd pleasing matches, but like junk food matches that I've called them, where there's not a lot of like rhyme or reason or logic behind anything. Like the psychology is kind of absent, but it's just like fun. And I think any wrestling show can benefit by having one or two of those matches. But if it's all those matches, if it's all junk food, if it's all just tornado, no selling, waterfall sequences, boom, finisher, kick out, finisher, apron bump, fighting in the crowd. Like if every match is junk food, well, then your teeth are going to fall out of your face. And while there were a lot of good matches this month, I did notice that things started to blend together at some point. How many tag matches occurred on this month? Because there were a lot of them. I'll count them real quick. I'll get back to you. So there were 7 out of 22 matches. There were 22 matches this month. 7 of them were tag matches, which is honestly less than I thought. But out of those 7 tag team matches, I would guess there were less than 5 tags. Their matches are the same. Hot star. Oh, we're pairing off to the outside. Dive, get in the ring. Oh, he hit his kick into his kick, and then they do a double team, and then they do their double finisher, and then they do their double finisher. And it's like, good googly moogly, man. Can we just get a normal tag match? Look, we'll get into the weeds here when we get into the shows, but point is that like, I hope we don't keep trending into this, like, here's some big names and here's some good matches that don't really have any bearing on the future. Like, I hope we don't get there, because that's kind of feels like where we're at in 2026. Although I say that, but like, kind of learning from other timelines I cover, and I compare Progress and Ring of Honor a lot because I think there are a lot of parallels. Looking back at like Ring of Honor in 04, going into 05, where we're at in that timeline at this moment, and as of recording, 04, 05 WWE was dog shit. Where you have like Heidenreich, Luther Reigns, Snitsky, like just not a lot of great stuff happening in WWE at this point. So in 04, 05, I mean, even earlier than that, people were hungry for like some exciting wrestling. A lot of promotions gave it to them. Ring of Honor, as far as I see it, was the biggest one. And if you turn on a Ring of Honor show in 04, you get a lot of like scrambly type of matches, a lot of like crazy spots, and kind of guys just kind of taking turns doing innovative moves and just giving that jolt of excitement, watching bell-to-bell wrestling, which you were not getting on, the flagship of this industry. In 2017, I think there's a lot of parallels there. 2017 WWE, I think Jinder Mahal is the champion right now. God knows what Raw is doing. Like, not a lot of good stuff happening. Later half 2010s WWE is among the worst wrestling you'll ever watch in your life. I mean, it's just dead, lifeless. It's kind of like today, but without the good wrestling. So Progress 2017 is kind of similar to Ring of Honor in the mid 2000s, where it's like it's a fun alternative. So while I am watching this, like I'm watching all these, that's kind of why I brought up like how I consume this earlier, because maybe you're not meant to watch 9 hours of Progress in 4 days. Perhaps maybe that's on me. You know what I'm saying? That could be my fault. Maybe that's why everything started to blend together. But I say that, all of that to say, I'm kind of rambling. I had kind of planned to be more negative on this month of Progress. But when I was going through my notes and kind of prepping for this and reliving a lot of these matches through my notes, was like, God damn, there was a lot of fucking good wrestling on this shit. Maybe this wasn't as bad as I thought it was. A lot of great stuff in this month. So maybe I should just stop tickling you in the belly button. And by the way, in case you're coming in cold, maybe you just discovered the Apron bump. Maybe this is your first Progress episode that you're checking out. Well, I have fantastic news for you, hypothetical listener. If you want to come along this journey with me, maybe you don't know anything about Progress. Well, hey, let me tell you this. I don't either. I'm learning for the first time. I'm watching this all for the very first time. And I started at chapter 1 and I've covered every single chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 50, 51, 52, 53. I've covered it all episodically by chapter by chapter. And if you want to come along that journey with me, if you want to discover a new hidden gem of a promotion, a new promotion maybe that you've never watched, but you've kind of heard about, I promise you some of the stories, some of the matches, some of the characters are incredibly captivating. It's been a very fun journey. I've done shows by myself. I've had guests come on that are experts in Progress to kind of fill me in on some stuff. I've had guests that have never watched Progress before to give their insight, their perspective. I've had people that have wrestled for Progress. I've had people that have commentated for Progress. Mixed bag of stuff, but it's all been a fun journey and kind of living through this promotion for the first time. And if you want to join that journey with me, I encourage you to check out the link in the description, or you can go to the episodes tab. You can go to apronbump.com, go to the episodes tab, select Progress Wrestling, and that'll bring you to all of the chronological chapters that I've done reviewing each chapter for Progress Wrestling. Binge away. It's been a fun time. And yeah, I think that's about it. Let's get into it, shall we? I'll give a little outline here, first of all, of what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about the tag titles, the world title scene. We got, Pete Dunne and Travis Banks. Also, the big overarching thing here is that we're building to chapter 55, which is going to be their biggest show to date at Alexandra Palace. So we got a lot of puzzle pieces being set here and a lot of build and a lot of pivots happening to build towards that show. Some were effective, some were less effective, but we'll get into it. We got the world title picture. We got Pete Dunne, the champion, currently scheduled to face Travis Banks, who had just recently won the Super Strong Style 16 tournament. But will that be the match? Who knows? We could see some changes here this month. We got the tag team titles. We left off on chapter 50 with CCK, the team of Chris Brooks and Kid Lycos, winning the titles from Mustache Mountain, from Tyler Bate and Trent Seven. They won the titles at chapter 50, and they will be defending them in the first chapter here, chapter 51, in a 6-man tag. It's going to be CCK versus the entirety of British Strong Style. We got the Atlas title on the line here. Matt Riddle, the champion, defending against Walter. Ooh, daddy. We got some great characters continuing, maybe a certain deputy of sorts. We got debuts. We got a major tag team debut. We got an absolute debut. We got a debut that you might want to bask in its glory. We got, gee willikers. We got the women's title continuing to build. We got Haskins and Havoc. That story's still developing, there's a lot of interesting tidbits I want to talk about there. And maybe among the best matches of the bunch were with Pete Dunne and Travis Banks individually. But we'll see. We'll see if I still feel that way at the end of this. But let's start off here with the night 1 main event here, because I think it's a good foundation point, a good pivot point to a lot of different webs that are going to be woven throughout this month here. So the night 1 main event is for the Progress Wrestling Tag Team Championships, which, by the way, the tag team titles, like, how many times have they made evented shows? Not a lot. I said it before, the tag team division in Progress has been the weakness, in my opinion, in the first 50 chapters, but I think they've made strides to make it arguably the strongest division going into the second half of the century here. But night 1 main event, we got the Progress Tag Team titles on the line in a 6-man tag team match. We got the champions, CCK, Chris Brooks, Kid Lycos, and Travis Banks defending against British Strong Style, of course, Pete Dunne, Trent Seven, and Tyler Bate. Let's talk about British Strong Style for a second, shall we? Before we get into the actual match here. What do we think? Pete Dunne, Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, or as they're known nowadays, Trent Seven, Ragu, and Mayo, or whatever the fuck their names are now. Jesus, criminy. What do we think about BSS here? Heels, the top heels in the company, allegedly. I love the guys collectively. I love them individually. Them as the top heel act, I don't think is hitting for me. I think, for a lack of a better term, I think they're just too cool. Like, I think it's interesting, right? Because like in other promotions in the UK, if you go to like OTT or whatever, like they're baby faces. They're having fun. Tyler Bate, like he's the guy, he came out on that first tournament as the ultimate baby face with the silly little mustache and waving his hands. Him and Trent, I think at this point they're wrestling on and off NXT. Big baby faces there. You got Pete Dunne, who I think is still a heel in the universe of WWE, but soon to be a top baby face there. It's interesting, like, I just don't, it doesn't feel natural for them to be heels to me. Particularly like Tyler Bate and Trent. Trent, this kind of like harkens back to what I opened this with like that style that like everybody has now, where it's just balls to the wall, fun spots. Like these guys, in my opinion, British Strong Style should be more like methodical. They should wrestle like they don't wrestle like heels. Is the problem that I think that I have. They fall into this like, hey, let's have some fun spot style as much as anybody. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I would wager a bet that after Ali Pally, which I hate calling it that, but I would wager a bet that after Alexandra Palace, that maybe they stray more towards the babyface route. But as far as this match goes, it was a fine match. It was one of those matches where it's impossible to take notes on. It was just nonstop action for like 20 minutes. A big crowd pleaser match, a firefight. There's waterfall spots all over. You hit your move, bang, bang, boom. We're all down. Several of those in this match. But there's a lot of shenanigans in the finish. There's a ref bump. Everybody's getting low blowed. Kid Lycos with a top rope brainbuster to Trent Seven. But then Pete Dunne comes in with a sledgehammer. What we do to Kid Lycos. Trent Seven makes the pin. We have new tag team champion. They just lost them. Oh, let me have that back real quick. British Strong Style, once again, the tag team champions. Great shot of CCK at the end of this. Just cinematic. I've said this before. Progress Wrestling has the most cinematic, great camera work that I've ever seen. I mean, just so they use the depth of field and the blur and the lighting and the smoke in the back. It's just so good looking. But CCK, they lose their titles pretty much right after they won them at the last chapter. So very, very distraught there. So it really sets the tone for the month. Will they get them back? Maybe that's their journey. And I think it is, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But first, we got to see who's going to get the title shot against British Strong Style on night 2. By the way, I'm going to say night 1, night 2, night 3. They're not consecutive nights. They're like a week after each other. But you know what I mean. So night 1. That was the main event of night 1. Let's travel back in time a little bit here to earlier in night 1, where we have a number 1 contendership match for the tag team titles. We got the London Riots, the team of James Davis and Rob Lynch, versus War Machine, not the Viking Raiders, not the Viking Experience, not the War Experience, not fucking the Valhalla, and what it's just War Machine. Hanson and Ray Rowe. Hanson, you might know as Ivar. Ray Rowe, you may know as Eric. By the way, War Machine are the IWGP Tag Team Champions coming into this. and they're facing off against the London Riots. Now, this is their third match that they've had with each other. It's been a while since their last one. I think they went 1-1 here, so this is kind of a rubber match. I could be wrong about that. That's something I could easily look up, but I am not going to. Man, this match, you know what? Glenn Joseph, why don't you tell us how you felt about this match? I absolutely agree, Glenn. This fucking guy. I can't blame him, though. This match was fucking awesome. London Riots and War Machine, just a fun brawl. I mean, there were several standing ovations during this match. We got Tower of Doom spots. We got people fighting all around the ring. Rowe does a double powerbomb on his own to both London Riots. District line to Rowe for 2. There's great false finishes towards the ending stretch here. We got the Riots doing their slingshot spear to Rowe for a 2 count, though. And it was kind of reminiscent of, like, you know, when the Dudleys hit the 3D for the first time and it got a 2 count. I think it was on like the Motor City Machine Guns or something. Very similar to that. It's like, well, are the London Riots losing it? I think that's kind of the story we're telling here. War Machine hits the Viking Experience to Rob Lynch. Hanson suicide dive to Davis for a 2 count. And the War Machine hits the Fallout, which is a back suplex leg drop combination. And that gets them the win. War Machine beats the London Riots in their third match. By far the best of their series of matches. Just a fun brawl. The crowd was into it. Great drama towards the end. They hug, they raise each other's hands, and the London Riots leave. Not a lot of signs of dissension with the Riots, but not to kind of get ahead of myself here, but I'm wondering if this was a seed of dissension. I mean, the seeds have kind of been planting for a while. They are on a bit of a losing streak. And I was watching this, I was like, man, they're really not doing anything with the Riot. I mean, they're losing, but there's not really any major signs of dissension. Well, again, not to foreshadow too much, but yeah, maybe there were. But War Machine, they earned themselves a title shot against what would go on to be the new tag team champions, British Strong Style. Might as well just talk about that one. How do we think about that, folks? Night 2. We got the tag team titles on the line in a tornado tag team match, just like every fucking other tag team match on this month. British Strong Style, new champs, defending against War Machine. And I'm watching this, man, like I watched the London Riots match, and now I'm watching this match, and I'm just like, what happened to War Machine, dude? Like, what are we doing? Are they still around? I don't even know. They're not Vikings anymore, I guess. That's a plus. But like, is one of them injured? Feels like one of them's always injured, which is a bummer. Like, I'm not gonna get mad at that. Like, it happens, right? But it's like, I don't know, man. There were just, even in NXT, they were so badass. And then it felt like there was just never any like effort to like build these guys up into something special. Like, they're so good, so unique. The presentation, even minus all the Viking bullshit, is so unique. Their style is fun. You got Hanson, who's the bigger guy, but does more of the high flying stuff. And then Eric does more of the power stuff, the striking, the double team maneuvers they do. They're just such a fun tag team. I don't want to beat a dead horse, because I know I'm always talking about guys that I'm watching here in 2017. That's like, what happened to this? Like, we're talking about Matt Riddle, Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne. It's like, what happened to these guys? And I don't want to keep beating that dead horse, but it's just so hard to avoid, man. It's just like, they're so good. War Machine's so good. With another outstanding match, following their London Riots match. This match, I will say, leaned less on the complex double team moves and like the intricate sequences and the bing, bang, boom, like bow, 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 like ping pong type moves. It was less of that and more just like impressive feats of physicality and stiff striking. Like, this match was like, if we're talking about like fonts, like a lot of the tag team matches this month were like in cursive. whereas this one was like aerial bold. You know what I mean? It was just like bam, bam, which I like. It was a fun change of pace. A lot of crowd brawling, which not really a change of pace. There's a lot of that this month, but they pair off, they fight in the crowd, they fight towards the bar, they fight on the stage, they're fighting everywhere. They get back into the ring. Again, more waterfall spots, which if you're, by the way, if you're unfamiliar with what that is, it's like when guy A hits his move on guy B, then guy C hits his move on guy A, then guy D comes in and hits, and then they're all down, and it's like, this is awesome. There's a lot of that in this match. But goddamn, Tyler Bate at some point hits an airplane spin to Hansen, which is like pretty impressive, but it's like, oh, we see that a lot because we know Tyler Bate is strong as hell. Tyler Bate does this airplane spin to Hansen, who is Ivar, does it for like 10 seconds, does a full squat, comes back up with Hansen still on his shoulders, and then keeps going in the opposite direction and then hits him with like a wasteland slam. This Tyler Bate, insane. An insane athlete, dude. He's incredible. Mustache Mountain with their double pedigrees, you know, obviously alluding to them working for WWE and Triple H and all that stuff. Double suck it. War Machine gets up. They pop right up. They do the double suck it. Double pedigree of their own. Great stuff here. The finish, though, was kind of wonky, I will say, because Trent goes to the outside to look for a sledgehammer, which has kind of become the calling card of BSS, but can't find the sledgehammer. War Machine sees that he can't find it, but as they're looking at Trent 7, Tyler Bate sneaks up behind with the Progress Tag Team title, hits Hansen in the back of the head with it. Rowe tries to take the belt from Tyler, but Trent finds the IWGP Tag Team belt and hits Rowe in the head with it. And then Trent hits Rowe with a pedigree onto Rowe, kind of on the Progress title. I think they were going for that, but it didn't really pan out. And that gets them the win. BSS retain through belt shots. And the reason I say it's wonky is, I don't know, championship belt shots never feel convincing to me. Is that just me? They're jagged, they can cut you up, but like, I don't know, man. Like, if I take this Intercontinental title behind me and smash myself in the head, is that going to knock me out? You know what? I mean, look. I mean, it is heavy, right? Look, I know that, you know, the real title, probably a little heavier, right? Let's see here. You know what? That is pretty fucking heavy, actually. That is pretty blunt. And to get smashed full force by somebody running at you. Shit. Actually, you know what? I stand corrected. That does kind of fucking hurt. You know what? Fuck, I'm wrong. This is why we experiment. You know what I'm saying? We don't just have our opinions and then kind of run with them here on the Apron Bump. We really explore. We see if we're right. Sometimes we're not. As in this case. Well, anyways, what were we talking about? A little concussed. Oh yeah, British Strong Style. They retain their titles against War Machine. And Rowe cuts an emotional promo at the end, giving props to the Progress crowd, all that stuff. Said they're sorry for losing, but they've had the most fun they've ever had here in front of these crowds. And so I guess their European excursion is over here. And I don't know where exactly on the timeline they head to WWE. I guess we could look that up now, huh? I guess we could do a little bit of research, do our due diligence. Okay, so they signed a contract with WWE in January of 2018. So that's about, 5 months from now? So I don't think they're directly going to WWE. Maybe they're in talks at this point. Who knows? But so shout out War Machine. Been a lot of fun watching them in Progress. But speaking of tag teams, kind of just sticking in this realm for just a second. I think while we're talking about tag teams, we might as well continue to talk about the first tag team in Progress, the London Riots. Now, in the past couple chapters, there might even have been some shows where I didn't even touch on what the London Riots did. Like, genuinely, they've been such an afterthought for quite a while now. They're just like the happy to be here guys. I have a cricket bat, we're brawlers. We're kind of like the APA, but British. Like, they've been those kind of guys, right? It's like, fine, sure, but nothing exceptionally captivating from them in the past couple chapters. They had that great match at chapter 51 with War Machine. Night 3 comes around. They're not on night 2. Night 3 comes around, and they're back, but not as a tag team. They're facing each other. I know, right? So not only are James Davis and Rob Lynch facing off in a one-on-one match, it is for the number 1 contendership for the Progress Atlas Championship, which is the 205 and up title, but kind of came out of nowhere. Like, I was just talking about, like, okay, they keep losing as a tag team. They're not really teasing that much dissension. I don't know. Maybe this isn't going anywhere. And all of a sudden they're facing off against each other. I do think there's like kind of a sense of like, I think, as if I was living through this live, I'd be kind of catching stuff on Twitter or Facebook. Like, I'm sure there's like promos and stuff that happen online and like tweets and whatever that kind of allude to certain things. So maybe that's just something I'm missing by watching this in hindsight. But this match came out of nowhere. And it kind of starts to make sense as I continue to watch it. But genuinely, dude, in terms of like segments, I guess, if you want to call it, matches, segments, like the whole package here that we're about to talk about, this might be the most compelling stuff that happened this month. Definitely in terms of story, this is number 1 in July of 2017, for sure. I mean, it's probably some of the best stuff in a while, honestly, from Progress, which is crazy because I brought up how they've been such an afterthought recently. It's like, what are we doing with these guys? But they just made a quick turnaround here for varying reasons, which I'll just stop beating around the bush. We'll get into it. So why is this match happening? The story coming into this is that the London Riots want a new challenge, which a weird way of putting it. It's like, I guess we suck as a tag team. Might as well go in as singles, but whatever. They want a new challenge. They both come out separately here, which is funny because they just have the same music. And but it on the outset here, it seems to be just like a friendly match, like two blokes having some fun. We want to compete with each other, have some fun, challenge each other. Like, it's fun. Boy, howdy. So the match happens, and fucking awesome match, which is like, you never know. Sometimes tag teams, like they didn't break up coming into this match, but like sometimes teams will break up, like the Hardys or Edge and Christian or like the Dudley. They'll face each other one-on-one and it's not good. Like Matt and Jeff Hardy could not have a good match with each other if their lives depended on it. Great as a tag team, maybe my favorite tag team of all time. Their chemistry against each other just does not match. Edge and Christian, at least up until like their AEW stuff was pretty good, but like for a while they weren't having good matches with each other. So you never really know how it's going to play out. It's like, oh, they have chemistry with each other, but they have chemistry as a tag team, not necessarily as opponents. However, I will say now, that being said, these two guys absolutely have chemistry as opponents. Fantastic stuff. A very simple but effective story, how they know each other so well, so they're mirroring each other. Kind of one guy hits a forearm, the other guy comes back with a forearm. One guy hits an uppercut, another guy comes back with an uppercut. They're trading in the middle of the ring. Big strikes, big palm strikes, big lariats. James Davis hits a moonsault from the top rope to the outside, which that is not what he does. Looked deadly. Like for both guys, it looked deadly, but it looked good. But then he does that and then gets Rob Lynch in the ring. Davis hits a running cannonball in the corner onto Lynch. Rob Lynch comes back with a running drop kick. Rob Lynch with a big belly to belly onto Davis into the crowd through like the first 7 rows ringside, just suplexes him, shit cans him. Lots of counters, lots of, because they have each other, obviously they have each other scouted / just know each other. So lots of counters in this match when it gets inside the ring. mirroring moves, like I said. Like you have like Rob Lynch will do like a Saito back suplex to James Davis, and then Davis will pop up and then hit a German suplex on the Lynch, and they both get up and then double clothesline, double down. It's like awesome stuff. Awesome stuff. Big power bombs from both guys. Lariats, Euros, forearms. Rob Lynch, that big bastard, goes to the top rope, goes for a spiral tap, but James Davis gets out of the way. Rob Lynch comes crashing to the mat. And then Lynch struggles to get up because it was like a few years ago now. Rob Lynch suffered a bad neck injury on, I believe it was one of the Endeavor shows from Progress, where he was like partially paralyzed for a little bit. Like it was a really bad neck injury. And took him a while to come back, and he's still dealing with issues, what we're being told here. So struggling to get up. His neck is troubling him. Ref gets in there, is like, you don't have to do this, man. We can call it off. But then Lynch shoves the ref. But then James Davis rolls him up for a 2 count. And it's like, part of it is like, oh, okay, is he taking advantage of him, or is he trying to get trying to put him down out of mercy? Which is kind of like a fine line. But I think the story was like Davis was like, all right, enough. Let's just end it. Come on, roll up. But he kicks out at 2. Davis yells at him. He wants him to quit. And this pisses Rob Lynch off. Lynch yells at him, tells Davis to be the man that I knew 5 years ago. Because they came into Progress. They were the first tag team of Progress. Major heels. Deadly. Kicking everybody's ass. And Rob Lynch, he's like, be that guy. Don't have mercy for me. So Davis comes at him with some forearms. Lynch comes back with forearms of his own. His left arm is like limp. It's dangling from the neck injury. But Lynch is still throwing out strikes. But then James Davis locks in what appears to be like a chicken wing of some sort. And this forces Rob Lynch to tap out. Kind of a wet fart of a finish. Like, I don't know. I feel like they had another gear to this. I feel like he could have held on to the chicken wing a little longer. Maybe Lynch could have fought out of it a little bit more. Whatever the case is, Davis gets the win. But I think it was supposed to be kind of anticlimactic in a sense. Because it's like Davis is just trying to like put him down with as least damaging effects possible. At least that's what it appears to be watching this. So maybe it made sense. I don't know. But James Davis gets the win. He's the number 1 contender for the Atlas title. But that is not the story here. The crowd was kind of getting on James Davis for a little bit. They didn't like him attacking the neck, but it was like he had to do what he had to do. But the story here comes after the match. Rob Lynch grabs the mic. He just lost. Still dealing with the neck. Lynch says that this is his last match. Huh? I beg your pardon? He says that he's retiring. He brings up that Endeavor show where he got injured about 2 years ago. Thought he was paralyzed. He's going through all of this. Very emotional. He says that he hates his life. Lynch says that he's lost everything. So in a few months, I guess he has some dates with other promotions. He's gonna honor those commitments. But he says in October, he's retiring and he's gonna go focus on getting his life back. Very emotional stuff. But this appears to be Rob Lynch's last Progress match. And by the way, in the beginning of this match, Jim Smallman, owner / ring announcer, he shouts out Rob Lynch's mom, who's sitting ringside. Felt kind of random in the moment, but now it's starting to make sense. Like, this is his last match. I want his mom to be there. And, but this is all making sense as to why this match kind of came out of nowhere because, he wants to retire. So let's just fucking do it. Let's just do the match. Rob Lynch puts the mic down. James Davis, he's there. He's clapping for him. He hugs him. Rob Lynch kneels down in the middle of the ring on the Progress logo, kneels down on it, kind of kisses it, whatever, paying his respects. Bam! Cricket bat on the back of Rob Lynch. James Davis splinters a cricket bat over the back of his best friend. By God. Jesus, I don't know how I did not see this coming. I was watching this. I was like, oh, this is like a real thing, right? They're just doing this match. Just kind of tying the loop on it when we're over. Nope. James Davis kicks the shit out of his London Riots partner, locks in the chicken wing once again. Everybody around ringside is mouth agape, lays out Rob Lynch. He's done for. James Davis grabs the mic, talking to Rob Lynch, who's unconscious. James Davis is like, we've known each other for over 10 years, and I've noticed a pattern. You're a loser, mate. You lost your house. You lost all your money. You lost your fiance when she left you. You lost your dad. And just like the rest of your loser family, just like them, I'm leaving you. Cutting stuff, man. Wow. Just like scintillating, captivating, emotional stuff here. Look, I unfortunately know what comes of James Davis. Spoiler alert, there's not a lot of longevity there. I'll just put it that way. But that being said, that aside, some great stuff here. I don't know if we eventually get another match between these two, or if this is just a way to kind of like, for a lack of a better term, like we're losing, maybe we're just, we're losing Rob Lynch. So let's kind of try to suck the heat out of Lynch, who is no longer wrestling, and put it onto Davis and see if we can make something of him. I don't know. I'm curious as to how this plays out going forward, but really crazy stuff here. London Riots, they've been day one dudes, and no longer. It seems that we've seen the last London Riots match, which is, been covering these guys for a long time. This is heavy stuff, man. Heavy stuff, but really well executed angle here at the end here. My goodness. Great stuff. We've been talking about tag teams for a while. Let's talk about some one-on-one action, huh? Little mano-a-mano, maybe for the Atlas Championship, folks. Matt Riddle, the champion, been the Atlas champion for a while. Once again, it's the 205 and up championship, so it's the opposite of a cruiserweight title. Matt Riddle defending the Atlas championship against Walter. Suck me from the back. Good googly moogly. This is some great stuff. I mean, they've had a match kind of recently, a few chapters ago, which is fantastic. But we're in for a rematch here. Matt Riddle got the best of Walter in the first one. Will he do it again? Let's find out. And look, I will just say, wrestling needs more matches like Matt Riddle and Walter. Who cares about how smooth everything looks? We're doing the springboards and the flips and the flops and the doodles. We have Matt Riddle, former UFC fighter, versus Big Daddy Walter. Top, kick, slap, chop, uppercut, lariat, kick. Fuck. The cockle meter is off the charts right now. This is just what Daddy likes. Just guys hitting each other as hard as they can until one guy can't get up anymore. That's what this match was. You have your suplexes and your Germans and you have like rolling power bombs. There's a lot of like fun maneuvers in this, but a lot of this is just like, man, Gunther in the corner chops him. Riddle comes back with his big roundhouse kicks, and you got the bing bang booms and the bits and the bops and the biddles. Whew. This is one of those matches where I didn't take a lot of notes on it because I was just so engrossed in it. Like it was just raw, intense. Sometimes wrestling goes it is bad for a podcaster, but like sometimes wrestling goes beyond like articulating it with words. Like you have to like watch this to really understand. It was just really fun stuff, man. Riddle with like super impressive deadlift rolling gut wrenches, several of them. By the way, both their chests are like ground beef within like 60 seconds of the bell ringing. Riddle goes from chops to kicks. Walter catches one of his kicks, kicks his ankle out from under him, sends Riddle flying. Riddle comes back, locks in the bro mission onto Walter, but Walter flips out of it into a choke. Transitions into huge, dude, sent Riddle through the mat, seemingly. 2 huge power bombs from Walter. So hype. Walter locks in the choke. Matt Riddle taps out like a little bitch. Shout out Gunther, man. Dude, Walter makes Matt Riddle tap out to the choke. No smile on Riddle's face. Just chokes him out. New Atlas champion, Walter. The era of Walter is here, ladies and gentlemen. He's been Big Daddy Walter. He's been Big Van Walter. He's come out with just like a hoodie and the boot bopping. He's like, oh, I'm happy to be here. I'm big. I'm a big bloke. Hello, everybody. No, he's Symphony number 9, black jacket, chops, bang, bang, boom. This is peak Walter. He's a champion in progress. We're here, baby. We're here. He is the epitome of this belt. I hope he holds it forever. I hope he never loses. I hope he's still champion. I know he's not, but he should be. Fuck it. Who's a better Atlas champion? Who better to represent this division than Walter? There ain't nobody. Ain't nobody. And I guess he's going to go face James Davis now, which seems like a bit of a one-sided affair, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, shout out to Riddle as well, man. Look, dude. What a fucking run for Matt Riddle, man. Like his match with Jeff Cobb that we recently talked about, his matches in the Super Strong Style 16 with like Tyler Bate and Mark Haskins. He has another, we're going to talk about it, but another fantastic match later this month with Travis Banks. I would say pound for pound, second for second. In terms of bell to bell action, Matt Riddle, the best in Progress history up to this point. Maybe it'll change going forward, but for me, watching the first 53 chapters, Matt Riddle, best bell to bell performances on average. He just never misses, dude. He's so fun to watch. He's so unique. No shoes. He's got the MMA influence, but he kind of blends it with the wrestling. Another guy where it's just like, dude, what happened? You know what I mean? He's just so fun to watch. Like that's all there is to it. Intense. Like I don't really care for like the goofy like weed smoker, skateboarder, scooter riding. Like that shtick doesn't really do a lot for me. But when the bell rings, dude, that dude turns it on. He can fucking go. And look, Progress has seen a lot of great. We've seen Will Ospreay, Marty Scurll, Zack Sabre Jr., British Strong Style, Mark Andrews, like ton of great talent that's come through Progress. I would put Matt Riddle at the top. I'd put him at the bell to bell. I'd put him at the top. And honestly, I don't even think this is the best Matt Riddle match of this month, which is insane. We'll talk about it. I mean, guys, it's just so fun talking about this, right? Like I'm having like so much fun talking about it, and like, shit. Oh no. I'm sorry. Oh jeez. Oh no. I knew we were having too much fun. Chief Deputy Dunn. Oh, handcuff me. Arrest me, officer. Having too much fun. This fucking guy, dude. Chief Deputy Dunn. Let's talk about some Chief Deputy Dunn, shall we? The newest sensation, sweeping the nation. Formerly known as Damian Dunn, which we've covered, his little run here, like in, I don't know, like 30s and 40s chapters, like kind of just a kind of an unassuming, just kind of regular, like goofy, like pompadour hair, black tights kind of guy. Like nothing really super compelling from him personally that I thought. But I mean, good grief, this Chief Deputy Dunn character is it's so silly, but I think that's the charm of Progress. I think he is what Progress needs more of at this point, I would say. Just a fun character to watch, which is ironic because his whole character is like anti-fun, but he's like one of the most fun characters. You know what I mean? He comes out with his it's like regular black wrestling tights and wrestling boots and knee pads, but he's wearing like a police shirt, button up, and then he has the goofy aviators. He's got like the badge, he's got the megaphone. He's here to make sure we're not having too much fun. Dunn is here, so just kind of highlight him and his shtick. Like night one, he has a match with Flash Morgan Webster, and we're exposed to like Webster will be running at him, and then Dunn's like freeze, and then he's like what the hell, and then Dunn hits an enziguri, which is like a fun, like he's incorporating the police kind of gimmick to it. Back and forth offense in that match, and then ultimately Damian Dunn wins by pulling the ref in to like distract Webster, allows Dunn to hit a low blow onto Flash, and then hits a top rope hung DDT for the win, which like the match was fine. It was whatever, but it was more like the character work that stuck out to me here. Really fun heat that he's given. The crowd's booing him. They love it. Again, just in an era where I'm unfortunately starting to see the characters start to fade a little bit. It's refreshing to see somebody like this who's just committing to such a silly character. And then in night 3, again, we have another Chief Deputy Dunn singles match, this time against Chuck Mambo, who's like the epitome of fun. Comes out with his beach balls and his tassels and his yellow trunks. It's like, hey, everybody. And just two polar opposites here. Again, they're playing off of it. Chuck Mambo comes out with all the beach balls. He's throwing it into the crowd. Mambo does he does like a people's elbow, but he has like 8 elbow pads on with tassels, so he like never hits it. Dunn rolls out, grabs the megaphone. You're having too much fun, and seems like he is, because Chuck gets him back in the ring, goes for the Chuck You. Awful name. It's like an air raid crash or something, but then Dunn counters it into his schoolboy with the tights. Close 2 count. Mambo goes for a springboard, but gets caught with a spear. Damian Dunn follows up with that top rope hung top rope hung rope. Puts his feet on the top rope and DDTs him. What's that called? A top rope hung DDT? That just sounds like a top rope DDT, but you have a big cock. But maybe that's the case. Damian Dunn gets the win here. In a fine match again, it's 2 character heavy guys, but I thought it was effective for both guys in displaying their characters. I feel like I like Chief Deputy Dunn. I think he needs like a patrol of some sort. You know what I mean? I think he needs more guys on the force. You know, he needs like I don't know. No, he needs some dudes. I think there's only so much he could do as a solo guy, because he's not a very threatening guy on his own. I do like the heel shtick that he does, is cheeky ways of getting wins here and there with the tight grabs and the low blows and what have you. I think he needs more guys. I think he needs to surround himself with a squad of some sort. We'll see if that happens. But before Dunn leaves, he grabs Chuck Mambo's necklace and his goofy little tassely elbow pads, and he confiscates them to add it to his box of confiscated items. So he's going to throw it in that same box with Jack Sexsmith's yellow condom. Check out the last chapter if you missed out, if you want more context on that. We got to talk about, in the order that I'm talking about these in will make sense here in a second. Night 2, I believe, right? We had a 4-way match between Chief Deputy Dunn, Chuck Mambo, Jack Sexsmith, and Zach Gibson. We just talked about the condom. Jack Sexsmith, he's not too happy about Dunn taking his Mr. Kako. So we've got heat with him. Obviously, Chuck Mambo. Dunn doesn't like him. But we also got Zach Gibson in here, which is like, where's Zach at? You know what I mean? Like he's no longer in the origin. That whole thing, that whole ship has sailed. And apparently, Nathan Cruz is gone. Allegedly, because Gibson gets on the mic and he's like, Nathan Cruz took his ball and went home. So it's like, all right, I guess that's done. So he's completely cut off from any origin ties. And now it's just Zach Gibson alone. What is his path? Super talented guy. What is his path? And then in addition to that, he's like I'm in the ring. I'm a serious wrestler. I'm in here with a surfer, a policeman, and an absolute fucking joke. That's a good Scouse accent. I don't care what you say. That's a good Liverpool accent. Now, another silly match. It's Mambo and the Freeze and Zaguri from Damian Dunn. Jack Sexsmith with all of his moves. You got the LGBT DDT, you got the Pearl Neck Breaker, you got the BDSM, which of course stands for Big Double Stomp Move. And then he has a new Mr. Kako. This time it's teal. I don't know where that stands on like the lore. You know how like Mist has different colors. We talked about this last time. How Mist has different colors and they each have different effects. I don't know what the teal condom does to their opponents, but we won't find out here because he goes for Mr. Kako onto Zach Gibson, but Gibson blocks. By the way, Callum Leslie, shout out, great call here. He blocked Mr. Kako. Callum says, "It's flaccid." Great job, Callum. I don't like to give Callum Leslie props, but I gotta give him a clap there. But eventually Gibson does get cocked. But then Sexsmith gets speared by Damian Dunn. Mambo with a springboard meteora to Dunn. Boom, boom. We're all down. Ultimately, though, because this match is like a very moves match. It's fun, but again, it's again just harkening back to like every match is kind of tornado-y and chaos and boom, and we're all down. And you hit your move, like, oh, it's whatever. Ultimately, though, Gibson dumps Mambo to the outside, on to Damian Dunn. Goes to grab Jack Sexsmith, but Sexsmith, small package to Gibson. 1, 2, 3. Jack Sexsmith beats Zach Gibson once again, because remember, in the Super Strong Style 16, arguably one of the best matches of the tournament, Jack Sexsmith beat Zach Gibson. So now Sexsmith is 2-0 against Gibson, so he's in shambles. And the question again, another loss for Zach Gibson. Where does he go from here, ladies and gentlemen? Where does he go? Well, let me tell you, because I think his course of action is to become a little more grizzled. Folks, the debut of the grizzled young veterans, night 3. Zach Gibson and James Drake versus the team of Alex Cupid and Dylan D'Angelo, the team of Never Say Die, which, like, whatever. I think these guys are like fresh out of the Projo. These are like kind of new up and coming guys, just like happy go lucky. They're wearing like pink tights and blonde hair. Like, we're happy to be here. Plucky white meat baby face. They didn't really do a lot for me here, I'm gonna be honest. But good gravy. Grizzled young veterans. Very, very reminiscent of when the Motor City Machine Guns came together. It's like we got two talented guys that are kind of aimless, but you put them together and then the chemistry is just instant. I mean, like the ping pong kicks, like they'll be like Gibson hits a forearm and then knocks the guy into an enziguri from James Drake, and then Gibson with a big kick, and then the double, like a drop toe hold into a drop kick. Like, it's just seamless double teams. I don't know if they've been teaming a lot at this point, but to me, I know it's got to be early on in their teaming together, if nothing else. I don't know if they've teamed elsewhere, but the chemistry was just right there, dude. Again, they're very reminiscent of when Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley came together. It's like, why haven't they been tag teaming all along? So kind of a squash here. I mean, Never Say Die did get a little bit of offense here. They had some close calls, but ultimately it was a pretty short match after a flurry from Never Say Die. Grizzled young vets get the win with Ticket to Mayhem, which is like a tombstone face buster double team move into a lung blower. And it looked particularly brutal here. A shout out to, I think it was Dylan D'Angelo for taking this, but Grizzled young vets get a pretty dominant win here, and I am excited. I am excited to see what they do in progress, because I've seen what they did in NXT UK, and I've seen a little bit of what they've done in like AEW and elsewhere. one of my favorite tag teams to this day, one of my favorite tag teams. So I'm excited to see them kind of in their early days here take on some of the best teams of that time. So I think we're gonna have a lot of fun with GYV, and I'm excited that they have debuted here as a tag team. Fun stuff, fun stuff. Speaking of debuts, let's talk about Ricky fucking Starks, huh? Yeah, that's not a name you expected. The team of Ricky Starks and Aaron Solo debuting here. They have a couple matches this month. Their team name is Extra Talented because they were extras in WWE. I think they've had some dark matches. They might have been some jobbers. They were definitely alternates in the Cruiserweight Classic, which I did not know. Imagine Ricky Starks in the Cruiserweight Classic. But their whole shtick here is that, like, you know, we're not used to these size rings. We're used to 20 by 20 rings. We're used to Charles Robinson. We're used to the catering that WWE has, and now we're just in this dump, which is just hilarious. But it's also because, like, we all know Ricky Starks. Like, Aaron Solo's here, of course, but, like, Ricky would go on to have the more substantial singles run of the two. So I'm going to be referencing Starks more here in this case. But it's funny that Starks comes out to, like, no reaction. Because at this point, like, he's like a pretty big deal. He's a big name. You know, when he debuted in NXT, he like lit the internet on fire. Had a great run in AEW. And is still kicking at NXT to this day. I think the sky's the limit for him. Like, he's a huge star. But to see him come out here in the crowd, it's like, the fuck is this goofy asshole? It's just hilarious to watch in hindsight. By the way, their finisher, Aaron Solo and Ricky Starks, Extra Talented, their finisher is called Catering's Closed. Catering's Closed, which is like an Angel's Wings super kick combination. But they debut here night 2 in a 3-way tag team match. It's Extra Talented versus The Origin, represented by Dave Mastiff and El Ligero. I guess that's the only two remaining. Versus CCK, Chris Brooks, and Kid Lyko. So this is the night after they lost the titles, or the show after they lost the titles. Just another tornado. Everybody's hitting their moves. Nobody's tagging. Everybody's diving type of match. Non-stop action, high flying, stiff strikes, a lot of crazy double teams in this. And this is probably the highlight. It was a ton of innovative tag team moves throughout. CCK hit a gory bomb / springboard facebuster combo. The ref makes the count. Ligero kicks out at 2, but the ref counts to 3. Boy, howdy. So, just to recap. CCK hit this move on Ligero. They pin Ligero. They cover him. Ref counts 1, 2. Ligero kicks out 3. And then they keep wrestling as if the match is still happening. So, which leads me to believe that was not supposed to be the finish, but the ref counted 3, which, by the way, it's what you're supposed to do. I was going to say you're supposed to do that, but Ligero kicked out, so he should not have counted the 3, actually. But the ref should count to 3 if they don't kick out, is what I was trying to say, but that didn't really apply here. But the case is, the people are still wrestling. Extra Talented gets in there. They throw CCK out. They both cover Ligero, but the ref's like, hey, match is over. Like, Chris Roberts was calling for the bell, but no bell is ringing. So they're kind of wrestling still, but then Chris Roberts has to awkwardly go on the outside and be like, hey, the match is over. All right, goodbye. It just ends. Very awkward ending, but CCK, I guess, gets the win here. And Brooks grabs the mic from CCK. He's like, we want our titles back, and we don't want to get there by these bullshit finishes. So they challenge Extra Talented to a match for night 3. So I don't know what the finish was supposed to be here. I would venture a guess, maybe like Extra Talented was probably going to get like a cheeky win. Like maybe because CCK hits their finisher on Ligero. I think Extra Talented was supposed to like toss out CCK and make the pin, like take advantage of that. But that wasn't what happened. But whatever the case is, we got Extra Talented versus CCK on night 3, ladies and gentlemen. Another good match here. Another good match here. Again, just another like everybody's doing their moves. I can't just I gonna keep reiterating. I'm gonna keep reiterating it to make it feel as exhausting as it felt for me watching this. So another tag match. We're doing waterfalls. We're doing finisher, kick out, kick out, brawling all around the ring. Every match is the same. Every tag team match is the same. No tags to be had. I've been talking a lot about Ricky Starks. Well, I'm gonna give a shout out to Aaron Solo, who, by the way, at this point was dating Bailey in WWE. Before the match starts, Aaron Solo grabs the mic and the boos start coming. They don't like him. They're chanting, "You just the shit, Ese Rios." Aaron Solo grabs the mic, and again, he's like, "Look, we're not that last match we had. Look, we're just used to the 20 by 20 rings. Everything was thrown off for us, and we're used to Charles Robinson. And I'm gonna tell you what, if you guys keep booing me, I'm gonna go tell Bailey, and she's not gonna be happy. And she's gonna be a world champion there, so she can get to the higher ups in WWE. So you guys better respect us." So really leaning into his relationship with Bailey here, like, "And my wife, let me tell you," or girlfriend, or what the hell. He gets a lot of "we want some Bailey" chants and "Bailey's too good for you" chants. Ricky Starks gets a "you're just a shit Sean Stasiak" chant. Aaron Solo puts his hair in a side ponytail and does a Bailey to belly onto Chris Brooks. Oh man, I love it. I love it. This match is definitely better than their that opening 3-way from the previous show. A lot better, even though it was a lot of kind of just similar moves, but it was just smoother. Ultimately, Chris Brooks hits a J Driller to Aaron Solo to get the win. So a very definitive win here. And so CCK gets the win and are the new #1 contenders for the Progress Tag Team titles, which we have already established coming out of this month. The champions are British Strong Style. So we will have another rematch between those two teams to crown the all undisputed tag team champions, I suppose. So, but again, like all of these tag team matches, a lot of them kind of blend together. So let's change that, shall we? Let's talk about something a little different. Let's talk about some women. Ladies, let's talk about the women's championship, shall we? Who's the champion? Hardest part of the ring? Of course, the inaugural champion, Toni Storm. Ooh, daddy. So I will say this, so they had that tournament to crown the first women's champion. To me, it was like, this is Jenny's title to win. Like, Jenny was the strongest character, women's character in Progress. So like, this is her title to win. But then Toni Storm wins it, who Toni was still like a relative newcomer at the point. So I was like, that's kind of a weird direction. But as I'm watching this arc, as I'm watching Toni in her reign, and I'm watching all these matches, I'm starting to think that maybe Toni Storm was the right way to go. This seems to be a case of the title making the wrestler, which can be taken as a negative. But I think, this new title, like, it seems like they're establishing it as like a workhorse type of title, because Toni's had some pretty good matches in the past couple chapters here with like Kaylee Ray, Katie Harvey. Like, she's having some good like in the women's division is still like in the first couple chapters, previously there hadn't been a lot of women on the roster, but we're having people come in. We have Toni defending against Laura Di Matteo. And then we also have her defending in another match in a later chapter here, which we'll get to. But let's start off with Toni Storm versus Laura Di Matteo. This match was delightfully stiff, is how I described it. I didn't have a lot of expectations going into this. Two solid workers. I mean, Toni's obviously fantastic, but still, again, just very she isn't the Toni Storm of today. You know what I mean? Like, she's still kind of creating this character and kind of establishing herself to the audience. So I didn't really know what to expect, but this was actually a very, very good match. You have Laura Di Matteo she has this kind of MMA influence, so she's using a lot of submissions, octopus holds, arm bars. LDM hits a Frankensteiner onto Toni. Toni coming back with all the classics, the hip attacks, the suplexes. And Toni ends up winning with a Yushigoroshi And then the Storm Zero pile driver retains her title. And again, just a good match. And back to what I was saying earlier, I don't know if there was anyone better to establish this title. From an in-ring perspective, I don't know if there's anybody in the UK better than Toni Storm right now. So perhaps maybe it was the right call. And then you have people kind of getting attached to Toni, being able to latch on to something while watching her reign continue as she keeps, defense after defense, win after win. And it's like all of a sudden now Toni Storm is like a big deal. So I think it's doing a great job in building Toni Storm. I think it's doing a great job in establishing this title as something that should be sought for in the UK. Because as crazy as it sounds, 2017, we're still very new to women's wrestling being in the spotlight. So really good stuff there. And then got also shout out, I believe it was night 3, Toni Storm once again defending her title, this time against Candice LeRae. Whoo, daddy. Again, sometimes, I keep saying it, but what the hell happened to Candice LeRae, man? I mean, she's so good. She's so good. This match was awesome. Candice LeRae versus Toni Storm. Awesome match. And also, just the context, because everybody sees Candice, now she's I guess she's like a jobber. I don't even know if she's on TV, but she's like a henchman sometimes, and she's kind of like a background character. 2017, I mean, she's coming off of PWG wars with Ridge Swann and Cedric Alexander, that tag team she had with Joey Ryan, where they had bloody fights. Candice LeRae has this mystique about her. It was just so funny. It's the juxtaposition, because she's such a small framed lady, but she's indestructible. You know what I mean? And that translates into the story of this match with Toni. I think it's just a fun character, and it's a fun way to take that style where it's it's a smaller wrestler, but also again, just indestructible, durable. It's a fun, and going against Toni Storm, who's killing it, has a lot of momentum behind her. This was just a recipe for success. I mean, genuinely, it is one of the better women's matches I've seen in Progress thus far. A lot of smooth chain wrestling in the beginning, progresses into them trading suplexes. Toni hits her Germans. Candice with some rebound throws to utilize her, smaller size, but to utilize leverage. Candice with a Gargano escape onto Toni. Toni hits the Storm Zero, but Candice kicks out at 1. Fighting Spirit. Candice with a double stomp off the top rope. Hits Toni with a vagina plex. But ultimately, Toni Storm counters a tornado DDT from Candice with a suplex into the corner. And then 3 consecutive Storm Zero pile drivers for the 1, 2, 3. Sensational stuff. Sensational stuff. Another great defense from Toni. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Obviously, we know what Toni Storm is today, but it's fun to watch her early days. It's fun to watch her cultivate the foundation of what she was able to become nowadays. So really fun stuff. Fun seeing Candice show out here, which we don't really get to see that anymore. So really good stuff there. And before we get to the world title story, we'll close out with that, because I think that's some of the most captivating stuff, honestly, in terms of bell-to-bell stuff. Before we get there, let's talk about another story-driven situation here. Another story-driven piece of business. Jimmy Havoc and Mark Haskins. What do we got brewing between these two blokes? Well, let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen. So, going back in history, Jimmy Havoc, Mark Haskins, 2 of the hottest runs in Progress history. I talked about earlier, how Jimmy Havoc, chapter 9 through 20, 25, the biggest character, the Undertaker of Progress, as crazy as that sounds. He was the dude. He was the conscience of Progress Wrestling. He was the mascot. But over time, it's just on screen, the story is that both guys want the Progress title back. Haskins won the title, then had to drop it due to injuries, so he wants to get back there for the title he never lost. Easy, simple story. Havoc is a guy who's always in the picture. Again, he's the top dude there, so he's always in the picture. So he wants the title back. And in night one, they each had individual singles matches. Mark Haskins faced off against Mike Bird, which is pretty sick. Mike Bird is sick. Just bald, ginger. Just he's like a compact Sheamus. It's kind of what he feels like. Really fun, stiff stuff, back and forth stuff. Towards the end, they have like a strike exchange, a chop battle, but at some point, Haskins gets the better of him. Bird relents in this strike exchange, backs into the ropes. Haskins charges him, rolls into the sharpshooter, pulls back the ankles, tap out. Mark Haskins wins his match, gets on the mic after, puts over Mike Bird. It also brings up how he won the title, and when he had the championship, it meant everything to him, and then it was taken away. And he wants to get back there. Again, just a very simple story, but a good one. Haskins says that this is the reason why he gets out of bed in the morning. So it's personal. We're relating to him. Good stuff. Good stuff. Jimmy Havoc has a match later on the show against Jigsaw, which was fun to see Jigsaw in progress. And Havoc beats him in another solid match with a Canadian Destroyer and then an Acid Rainmaker. Havoc gets on the mic after the match, kind of retorts to Mark Haskins. It's hard to kind of make out what he said, but we're in fucking, for whatever reason, if they're not in the ballroom, the audio in these promos fucking suck. But more or less what Havoc is saying here is that Haskins chose his family over the Progress Championship, whereas Havoc is his top priority. It's above his health. It's above his family. So he's basically insinuating that the Progress title means more to himself, to Jimmy Havoc, than it does to Mark Haskins. So we got a little shit throwing here. We're kind of building a little tension, but ultimately it's all rooted in like, we both want the title. We both want to be the best. And again, we're both kind of fighting to stay relevant in this game right now. So some solid stuff to kind of just set the tone here for what happens later. So night 2, nothing happens with them. Night 3, they team together. Havoc and Haskins do for the Progress Championships. British Strong Style versus the team of Jimmy Havoc and Mark Haskins. Just another fun match. Hot start, Pearl Harbor job, immediately out into the crowd. Just like so many other matches this month. This a good match, but it just doesn't stand above the rest of the matches that happened on this month. It's more about kind of what happens after. So towards the end of the match, again, it's just a back and forth match. It's a firefight. Trent goes to the outside, goes over to Mark Haskins' wife, Vicky, which of course draws Mark out. Mark Haskins sees this. He's like, "Hey, what the fuck are you doing?" Hey, and then Trent runs away, and then Mark is like, "Hey, Vicky, are you okay?" And then while this is all happening, while Haskins is consoling his wife in the ring, British Strong Style rolls up Jimmy Havoc with the tights and gets the win. So BSS gets the win here. But Jimmy isn't happy. Like, Mark, what are you doing? We're fighting for the tag team titles. You're out there, mishmashing with your wife. You got to focus. And then Haskins is like, "Hey, fuck you, man. That's my wife. You don't talk to her like that. My family comes first." And then Jimmy's like, "Hey, fuck you. The title comes first, blah, blah, blah." Vicky gets in the ring. Haskins' wife tries to get in the middle of them, which I could have told her from the outset that this is a bad idea. She tries to cool them down, tries to bring them down, but Havoc shoves Vicky, and of course, this incites Mark Haskins. He tackles Jimmy Havoc, beats on him. They have a whole pull apart. Security gets in there as the locker room empties. They pull apart Haskins and Havoc. While at first it was just a competitive kind of feud that they had going on, seems to have taken a bit of a personal pivot here, which is, it's all fine. To me, it felt kind of like, I don't know. It didn't really suck me in. Pause. It was fine, which is kind of unfortunately like what Haskins and Havoc are at this point. They're fine. They're pretty good. But in an environment, 2017 indies, where there's just so much talent, you gotta be more than that. And unfortunately, it feels like they're kind of getting lost in the shuffle here, but that is the story that's being told. So it all kind of works together well. It's all kind of symbiotic in a way. I didn't leave this chapter feeling like hype on this feud, though. I don't know what it is. Like the nuts and bolts of it are good. It felt like there was a lack of heat to it, which is crazy given how big these guys were just a few months or just a year ago. So interesting stuff. I'm looking forward to. I'm assuming we're building to a match between these two at Alexandra Palace, chapter 55. So we'll see. We'll see what comes of that. But that's where we're at with that. Let's close this bad boy out. The Progress World Championship. Now, there are no world title matches this month, which you might hear that and you're like, oh, it might be like an eye-rolling thing. But I promise you, I think I kind of like it because, look, Pete Dunne's the champion, of course, a member of Beat British Strong Style. Travis Banks won the Super Strong Style 16 tournament back at Chapter 49 and earned himself a title shot at their biggest show of the year, Alexandra Palace, Chapter 55. And the whole story leading up between that tournament and Chapter 55 is, will Pete Dunne be world champion at that point? That's pretty much it. Pete says he's not going to defend his title. Jim Smallman's like, all right, but if you lose any match in between now and the Palace, you will then have to challenge that person that beat you following that, like at a later date or whatever. I don't know. They haven't really established when that would happen. So it's kind of open-ended. Like, it is plausible. It is plausible. Like, I don't know. I haven't looked at the card for Chapter 55. It is plausible that somebody else could get added to that match. I could see it happening, which we're going to talk about here. It's some potential who it could have been. So I like the fact that Pete is having these matches, because if he was just having like world title matches on these chapters here, it's like, well, he's not going to fucking lose because we're building the Pete versus Travis Banks at the Palace. Like, he's not going to fucking lose. But he's having these like kind of eliminator matches, quote unquote. But I think it works because it gives you that kind of sense of hope that the guy could beat Pete and either just like challenge him at a later chapter or get added to the Chapter 55 show. So I like how they've set that up. And this month they're like picking the stories that they're picking each other's opponents, where Travis is picking like people that the crowd loves, like crowd favorites, Progress fan favorites. And Pete is picking like killers to face Travis. So I like the kind of juxtaposition between those two. Let's talk. We have some outstanding matches to talk about here to close this bad boy out. Let's talk about Pete's matches first. So again, if Pete loses to any of these gentlemen, they will earn themselves a title shot. The first match on night 2, because we have a night 2 and a night 3 match. The first match on night 2, Pete Dunne versus Eddie Dennis. So Eddie has kind of been not around a lot recently, and that's because, yeah, he has not been full-time. He's been a weekend warrior. He's a teacher, I believe. But he has now become a full-time wrestler. I guess he's quit his job. Now he's just wrestling full-time. So that's the story we're telling here, which I think is a very effective one. It's a very engaging narrative to follow with Eddie Dennis. It's like, all right, now he's committed. Can he find himself gold finally? I know he was a tag team champion, but can he find himself singles gold? So it's a fun kind of story to follow here. And then he's facing Pete Dunne. Obviously, if he beats Pete Dunne, he earns himself the title shot. So it all plays into each other. This might be my favorite Pete Dunne match I've seen so far with Eddie Dennis. Just the urgency he had, like, I don't know, man. Like, they're fighting out like on the floor. He's like double stomps off the apron, throws him in the ring, double stomp off the top rope. He's breaking his fingers, forearms. Like, Pete is such like he's not a big dude, but he fights like such a giant, and it's somehow believable. Even against somebody like Eddie, who's like a towering dude, like Pete will hit Eddie Dennis with a forearm, and Eddie just explodes back into the corner. But it's like believable somehow. Really, really good stuff there. Eddie's also like, it's crazy how strong Eddie is. Like, he hits a spinning sidewalk slam from the floor to the apron. Only works because of how tall he is. You got Pete doing some hand work. He puts Eddie's hand in the. This is a very fun spot here. He puts Eddie's hand like behind the turnbuckle pad in the corner and then like kicks it. Oof, very unique stuff. He's biting his hand, snapping his fingers. Eddie comes back. Huge border toss power bomb, a stalling superplex. Crowd is way behind Eddie at this point. He's been one of the day one dudes. Crowd loves them some Eddie Dennis. They fight to the stage. Pete slams Eddie on the stage, goes for a tombstone, but Eddie counters, hits a tombstone of his own on Pete Dunne on the stage, drags him to the ring, gets in the ring. Pete Dunne is able to recover a little bit, enough to whip the ref at Eddie. Eddie shoves the ref to the side. Pete with a low blow, bitter end attempt, but Eddie Dennis slides out, hits the neck stop driver. 1, 2, kick out. Whew. I mean, just fantastic. I thought that could have been it. I bid on that one. Eddie goes for the severed bridge powerbomb in the corner, but Pete slides out, hits the bitter end. 1, 2, kick out. Again, just great false finishes in this one. Big Eddie chants. The crowd is there. Pete goes to the outside, grabs the sledgehammer from under the ring, goes to crush Eddie's head on the ground, but the ref grabs it. Eddie gets up, goes for a super kick onto Pete. Pete gets out of the way. Eddie accidentally super kicks the ref. Pete hits a pedigree, grabs the sledgehammer, swings it at Eddie. Eddie ducks, hits the next stop driver again, has him beat, but the ref is down. Pete rolls out as Eddie goes to check on the ref. Hey, ref, get up. I got a match. I got the win. Eddie goes over to Pete after he checks on the ref, and then boom! Sledgehammer shot to the jaw. Bitter end. Ref is up. 1, 2, 3. Pete Dunne gets the win. I was really rooting for Eddie Dennis here. Really rooting for him. Because honestly, I think he might have more story and momentum behind him at this point. More of that than Travis Banks does. Maybe. I think Eddie Dennis versus Pete Dunne is more of a marquee match than Pete Dunne versus Travis Banks. Maybe. I just don't know if Travis Banks versus Pete Dunne, like I'm sure it'll be a pretty good match. I think the story leaves a little bit to desired between those two though. But we'll see. So Eddie is unable to get the job done, but perhaps Jack Sexsmith can earn himself a title match, because night 3 we have Pete Dunne versus Jack Sexsmith. Another fucking outstanding match. Like Jack Sexsmith is making a fan out of me. Like I wasn't really behind his shtick and his presentation. I didn't think he offered a lot in the ring, but I've been proven wrong. He's had something like his match with Zach Gibson in the tournament. His match here with Pete is like, this dude can go. This dude could go. And again, another hot start here. Pete, Pearl Harbor jobs Jack during the intros, low blows Jack, shoves him to the outside, bullying him on the outside. And I got the ring crew is like trying to like wrangle Pete, like, hey, enough. Let's wait. Let's get you both in the ring. Let's ring the bell. You're getting ahead of yourself, Pete. Come on, calm down. And then Pete fucking obliterates one of the ring crew guys with the forearm. He just corpses him. I think it was Michael Oku. I think it was a young Michael Oku that got forearmed and knocked on his ass. Incredible bump. It must have been, because it was a fantastic bump. But then Jack, as he's doing this, he comes off the top rope, he lands on the whole pile, and then we're off to the races. Bell finally rings. Jack with a tilt-a-whirl into a crossface to a huge reaction. The crowd's like, oh shit, this could be it. We want this. Big tap, tap, tap chant, but Pete rolls out, hits a German suplex, and is back in control. And the major story in this match is Jack's resilience here. He's always the underdog. So that's really the story here. We got Pete hitting the X-plex. A lot of brutal forearms. Finger snaps. Pete hits a double tombstone. 1, 2, kick out. Huge pop. Pete's getting pissed. This is like the part of the match. This is like the style and this is like the kind of like area where I think Pete Dunne really thrives, where he's just like pissed and he gets this like shitty fuck you attitude. He kicks out of this double tombstone. Pete just like these just gnarly Kawada kicks to the head. Just really just like fuck you energy. That's the only way I could describe it. I love it. He's very bitter. Like bitter is his character. The bitter end is his finish. But that's like what he is. He just feels bitter, goes for the bitter end, but Jack counters into the LGBT DDT and then the Rainbow Road Canadian Destroyer for 2. My God. My God. Pete Dunne comes back. Pedigree on the floor, on the wooden floor. And then Pete slides into the ring to try to get a count out victory. That's how desperate he is at this point. Jack mixes it in at 9. Pete grabs him, goes for the bitter end. Jack counters into a small package. 1, 2, kick out. Oh, because that's how Jack beat Zach Gibson the night before. So it's like kind of an allusion to that. Pete comes back, German suplexes Jack into the corner, hits the bitter end. 1, 2, 3. Whew. Awesome match. Awesome match between Pete Dunne and Jack Saxsmith here. I love the whole arc again for Pete and how it's like it is possible that he can lose on his way to Alexandra Palace. Like it is possible. It opens it up because it's not just a straight up world title match. It's an eliminator match. So it adds to the drama of the match. And then you have Jack with his innate story of being the underdog and the crowd favorite, the cult icon of progress, the pansexual phenomenon, I think is his name. So yeah, shout out those guys. So those are Pete's matches. He comes out 2-0. But what about Travis Banks? What about the other side of the coin? Who is Pete going to choose to face Travis Banks? Well, night 2, we have Travis Banks versus Matt Riddle. Very intense. A very, very Japanese type of match. Kind of similar to Walter and Riddle, but with a little more, I guess, I don't know, finesse, maybe. I don't know. But just, I think the intensity, like I could talk about all the moves and whatnot, and I probably will. But like, it's the intensity, man. I think that's just like, it's such an overlooked component of a wrestling match. Make me believe that you want to kill your opponent. Both of these guys did that in this match. They're looking through each other. They get in the ring. They're putting their foreheads against each other. Fuck you. Then they go at it. Strike exchanges in the ring. Strike exchanges on the outside. Stiff chops. Both guys have their roundhouse kicks. Banks with some low pays to the outside. I just love the way these guys weave in their combos and their counters. It's just all very seamless and smooth. Kicks getting caught, rolling seamlessly into like power bombs and suplexes. Very fun stuff. We got, these guys are just throwing bombs. You got Matt Riddle with a Fisherman Buster and a bro to sleep for 2. You got Travis Banks with a big Yakuza kick and a first rope double stomp. German suplexes from both guys. Fighting spirit rolling through Germans. Popping up. I'm going to hit a German. Rolls up. I'm going to hit a German. Bang, bang, boom. Travis Banks hits the Kiwi Crusher for 2. Slice of heaven. Gets caught into an ankle lock from Matt Riddle. Rolls through into the Lion's Clutch from Travis Banks. Just seamless counters. Really fun to watch. Riddle with a jumping tombstone to Banks. Banks kicks out at 1. Travis hits a jumping tombstone of his own. Riddle kicks out at 2. We're building up. We're climaxing. Then Pete Dunne comes out on the stage. Huge boos. Travis Banks gets distracted for just a second, but it's just enough time for Matt Riddle to hit a flying knee on Travis, then a jumping gotch tombstone for the win. Matt Riddle beats Travis Banks due to interference, but nonetheless, Travis Banks loses due to Pete Dunne. Again, just so many good matches this month. I don't know where this falls in the rankings. This could be number 1. I think I've said that for a few matches. This could be the best match of the month, for sure. Just stylistically, I thought this was just a recipe for success. And I had a lot of, again, just kind of leaning into Matt Riddle and his performance this month, his performance in his entire progress run, why it was so good. And this is another representation of that. Just really good stuff here. And then the last match we'll talk about might be the most significant. Well, I'll say the post match was definitely the most significant. We got the main event of night 3. Appropriate that we ended with that, right? The last match of the last night. We got Travis Banks versus Keith Lee. Whoo, daddy. Man. So this is Keith Lee's debut in progress. Crowd is hot for him. Crowd loves him. I mean, he's in the main event. No titles on the line or anything. He's just Keith Lee's here. He's the main event. That's kind of gives you a snapshot into his like where he stands in terms of like popularity with the crowd. Like he's that big at this point. It's that significant that he's here. So he's the main event against Travis Banks. Pete's out there on commentary. Well, he bullies RJ Singh. He grabs him by the throat, rips him out of his chair, sends him to the back, and then takes his headset, which is just shout out RJ. But you just got little broed by Pete Dunne here. Keith Lee, man, again, not to just be that guy again, but I hope Keith Lee's doing. I know he's had some health issues. I hope Keith Lee is doing okay out there. I need to see him back, man. He is so good. I forgot how good Keith Lee is. Because look, we've talked about a lot of people, even just this month. We're talking about all these moves that are happening. We're talking about, the striking, the intensity, all of this stuff, all the counters and the intricate kind of sequences. We could talk about that till the cows come home, but there is just something to having presence that is so, it feels like such a rare commodity nowadays. Keith Lee is this big grizzly bear. He comes out, he has this charisma. He's like very like, he's almost cocky. He's orchestrating the chants. He's, the bask in my glory stuff, putting his arms out to the side. He silences the crowd. He's like, I take a second to bask in my glory. He has this charisma, but then when the action starts, he is just this giant, just boulder of a human. He doesn't get knocked down by a drop kick. You're not going to come at him with a lariat and he's not going to fucking take a bump. You got to hit him with a lot of things to knock him down. Very old school stuff, it feels like. Feels like every big guy just like running out there and doing like their Hurricane Ranas and then is taking like poison Ranas and is fucking taking all these bumps and flying around the ring, ping ponging around the ropes. But it's like Keith Lee is just this like stout, like, oh, you gotta knock me down. And then like he does these like chops, dude, these double-handed chops, just like to Travis Banks that make you feel like they're gonna concave his chest. Dude. And again, they're telling the story. It's like Travis, like he's a big striker, but he's running at Keith with these lariats. But it's like he's running into a brick wall, can't knock him down. Travis goes for a Hurricane Rana, but Keith catches him, tries to powerbomb him, but Travis counters out, whips Keith into the ropes. Keith with a big up and over. So he has like this big presence and these power moves, but you can also bust out like these like weirdly athletic type of things, which I think Keith at some point, I think unfortunately he kind of devolved into just that, like just the big guy that can move kind of persona, which at some point felt like every big guy was that. So it felt like it kind of diluted his appeal over time. But here it's like every once in a while he would bust out something like that. And when he did that, it was like, oh shit, like he does like a running Hurricane Rana in this match. It's like, oh my God, I've been watching this big bear of a human just smother this guy. And all of a sudden he's doing Hurricane Ranas. It's like he made it work at the right time. He did it just enough. Travis goes for a low pay on the outside, suicide dive, but Keith catches him like under his armpits, just like a baby. He like tosses him up in the air. Just a big last ride on the apron. Devastating. Beal's in the ring. And he takes his time too. That's the thing. Keith takes his time. He beels Travis across the ring. It gets him in the corner. Waits for the crowd to simmer down. Double chop to the chest. Bear paw chop to the chest. And then he does that like 2 or 3 times. And it gets more and more effective each time. Beel, chop, beel, chop. And he's taking his time in between each move. So good. And his facials. I know I'm like gushing over Keith Lee, gushing over his facials, which is a crazy thing to say. But man, just like he's like this, he's cocky, right? He knows who he is, right? He knows he's that dude. He's throwing Travis Banks all over the ring. He's just very fluid with his face, like with his facial expressions. Because another thing here is like 2 crowd favorites. And it was worrisome a little bit because like I think they're more supportive of Keith Lee than Travis Banks. Travis, who is like the main challenger, it's like the guy who's main eventing the biggest show of the thing. And it's like, oh, is Keith Lee more likable than him? I don't know. But at some point in this match, because everybody's excited to see Keith Lee, it's crazy to see him in progress. But over time, the crowd's like, oh, wait, Travis is our guy. So you see the look on Keith's face change as the match progresses to being like, huh? Like this like puzzled look on his face. Oh, you're cheering for him? All right. I'm gonna take your boy and I'm gonna send him through the mat. So that kind of it all just played into what he was doing. He's dominating the match, Keith is. Banks fights back, hits a few suicide dives. That takes 3 of them to knock Keith Lee down, as it should for a big man. Gets Keith Lee back in the ring, goes for a running cannonball in the corner on a seated Keith Lee. Keith catches him in a powerbomb position on his ass, gets to his feet, still holding on to him, makes his way to his feet with one arm, lifts Travis Banks up for a powerbomb, but Banks counters that into a code red. And at this point, that's the way they've built the match, the way they've established how Keith is this monster and Banks is kind of fighting from underneath. The way they've built it up to this point, that code red felt like the most effective move anybody has ever hit. It was just so good. Goes for the pin, but Keith kicks out at 1. So it's like, God, there's no way he's winning this. If all of this, he's only getting a 1 count, no way. But Travis comes back, coast to coast drop kick, goes for the pin, 2 count. Keith Lee comes back, huge, the biggest last ride powerbomb I've ever seen in my life. A sit out last ride that recoiled Travis 10 feet in the air. Just insane, dude. Keith, dude, and I love this, right? He's doing all these power moves, power bombs, all this stuff. Lays out Banks. And then Keith like looks at the corner. He sees the ropes. It's like it's the first time he's ever seen ropes before. He's mesmerized by the corner. He's like, you know what? I think I'm going to go up there. And he very slowly comes to the realization that he has an idea. He climbs to the second rope, goes for the moonsault, but before he could pop it off, Travis Banks is up, kicks his legs out from under him, backstabber off the second rope, rolls him back, hits a flying forearm, Kiwi Crusher, 1, 2, kick out. Gah! So good. Such a good false finish right there. It really had me there. Goes for the slice of heaven, but Keith counters into just like a shoulder block out of midair, or maybe a headbutt. I don't know what it was, but he just bounces off of him like a brick wall. Keith goes to the second rope, hits that moonsault, 1, kick out. I mean, this incredible moonsault that Keith has been building up to and only got a 1 count. Now Travis has turned it. Now the turns have tabled. Now Travis is all of a sudden the indestructible monster. Remember, I said earlier in the match, Keith was slowly wearing him down with these double chops to the chest, crippling Banks in the corner. Keith hits him with another one. This time, Travis fights through it, no sells it, and it just made it so impactful because of how impactful it felt earlier in the match. Now the fact that he's fighting through it, it's like, oh shit, this is the passion that he has, that he's fighting through this. Travis comes back, drop kick into the corner, double stomp off the second rope. That goddamn Pete Dunne comes out again. that goddamn Pete Dunne comes out again. He was already on commentary, But he comes out onto the stage with a sledgehammer. Again, distracts Travis Banks, just like in his match with Riddle. Keith capitalizes, hits that Death Valley power slam for the 1-2-3. Kind of lame how it was exactly the same finish as the Riddle match, but whatever. It's the story they're telling. It was a very fun match. So Banks again loses due to Pete Dunne. So we're building towards that main event for Alexandra Palace. But we are not done here, ladies and gentlemen, because we've talked about a lot of matches. We've talked about debuts. We've talked about title matches. A lot of really, really fun contests here we've talked about. What I'm telling you now, with all that, right? Walter, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, Pete Dunne, British Strong Style, Travis Banks, Jimmy Havoc, Mark Haskins, the London Riots deal, all of that, the women, all of this did not compare to this moment that closed out night 3. Keith Lee gets the win. He's out of there. Pete Dunne comes to the ring with that sledgehammer. Tyler Bate, Trent Seven, they also come out there. All 3 guys are ganging up on Travis Banks. They're beating on him. CCK comes out. Chris Brooks, Kid Lycos, they come out to help, but they are quickly dispatched. They're thrown out to the outside. British Strong Style, they have the numbers. Trent Seven, Tyler Bate, they hold up Travis for Pete to smash him with the sledgehammer. And as Pete raises the hammer, we hear,
"Oh my God." Oh my God! Toni Black and Tik Tok, the South Pacific Power Couple, are back in progress! This place has come unglued! Oh my God!
TK Cooper and Dahlia Black have returned. They were, I don't know what the term is, but they were ousted from the UK due to visa issues. So they had to leave against their will. And they were building up so much goodwill with the audience. TK and Travis Banks, their matches with Imperium. I think they've had some matches with the London Riots. They were getting over with the crowd, which led into this run with Travis Banks. But he had to leave. So I think it was I don't know how expected it was. I didn't expect it. I know TK is back now and whatnot, so I knew at some point he came back. They had a very emotional departure a few chapters ago, but now they're back. TK and Dahlia come out with steel chairs, huge reaction. The biggest reaction of the month by far. By far. They rush the ring. British Strong Style scurries away. And now we're left with Travis Banks in the ring. You got one corner, you have the South Pacific Power Trio, which Travis Banks was a part of. And in the other corner, you have CCK, which is another trio that Travis Banks is a part of. So there's like a little bit of tension between the two. But then CCK eventually is like, all right, you guys have your moment. That's fine. They leave. So we have TK Cooper, Travis Banks, and Dahlia Black having a 3-way hug in the middle of the ring. And dude, like, it's crazy. This is why I love like going back and watching all of this episodically. Because if I just I just watched this for the first time. Like say I didn't watch any of the chapters leading up to this, and I just watched this. Like, who the fuck is TK Cooper? Who gives a shit? Dahlia Black? Who? Who's that? But I'm watching this. I've watched every chapter, and you can do the same if you just want to recap by checking out all my episodes leading up to this. But just watching chapter by chapter, associating who TK Cooper is and Dahlia Black and their relationship with Travis Banks, and then seeing them leave, watching all of this progress, and then this moment happens. I hate to say it, but genuinely, when his music hit, I felt like a vibration go through my body. It was a goosebump moment for me, crazy as it is. TK Cooper. Walter didn't give me goosebumps. Like it's an emotion that was not elicited by guys that we've talked about, like Walter, Keith Lee, Matt Riddle, Pete Dunne, Eddie Dennis, Chief Deputy Dunne. Like, no one gave me an emotional response quite like TK Cooper coming out here. And it's crazy because, you know, a few years ago, I didn't know who this guy was at all. Now he's like, now it all just ties together. And it's such a cool, like, it was such a cool moment. It was just a really, really fun moment. Glenn Joseph on commentary even says that in the 6 years they've existed, he's never heard a reaction like that. So cool. So cool. And so now they're back. And I don't know, do they just form like a super group of CCK in the South Pacific Power Trio? Don't know. Don't know where we go from here, but I'm intrigued. Color me intrigued. That's for sure. So that is where we leave it. TK and Dahlia even do their annoying, like, making out while making eye contact with the camera, but it gets a huge pop now because they're fan favorites. Man, what a way to end it. What a way to end it. Just a powerful, powerful segment there after a really good match. Several really good matches that we talked about today. Some good stories. The London Riot stuff has me really intrigued as well. Haskins and Havoc is still going on as well. Kind of interested to see where that goes. Tag team titles, the world title scene, it's all up in the air. Gunther is Atlas champion. Tony's still killing it in the women's division. Seems like she can't miss. I think we're in a good spot. I was kind of like iffy on the last chapter, like chapter 50. It was kind of like felt like kind of just like the like an epilogue to the Super Strong style. But it feels like we're in a good spot here. I'm excited for the Ali Pally show, and we got some good stuff here. It's peak Brit Rest right here, 2017, mid to late 2017. So right before NXT UK starts, we'll see what we'll see what happens when that gets here. But with that, that's all I got for you guys today. Appreciate everybody sticking around, checking this out. Having a lot of fun watching progress as always, and I hope you are enjoying it as well. I've had some people reach out and be like, "Hey, your progress reviews are my favorite part of your podcast," which is crazy because it's definitely the most niche. But I think the fact that it's niche makes it feel like it's like a new TV show. You know what I mean? Like, you don't really know what happens. So I think there's a sense of like you don't know what's going to happen, but you're also seeing like the stars of today get kind of built here. So there's a lot of fun elements to this. So always a good time. Appreciate you guys listening, watching, and tasting. Have a blessed day. Appreciate you. I'm hard.
Yeah. And the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started. It's the hardest, talk around and disregard it. Strip you off the ground, show you what hard is. Standing strong and proud, nothing can knock it. Let's get it started.